We're talking about Dr. Bawumia. It's where we're now transitioning the conversation to, because we know that on Wednesday, there's going to be a whole lecture to outline the bold vision of Dr. Bawumia, not only the Vice President, but currently the presidential candidates of the NPP, and outline these transformational policies that are going to transform the economy. And we know that already, prior to coming into power in 2016, and of course, being also inaugurated as Vice President or sworn in as Vice President, prior to that, he said that alongside he being the Vice President and subsequently the head of government's economic management team, he was going to ensure that the Bawumia-led government moved Ghana from taxation to production, from taxation to production, from taxation to production. Paragraph, how have we fared? Because these are the things that will be asked for. Now, let me just give you some preludes too, because the main clarion conversation out there is about how Dr. Bawumia had been a mainstay in managing Ghana's economy. We'll first have to take you to a tweet by the president. That was back in February 2018, where he lauded the efforts of Dr. Bawumia.
That's the State of the Nation address.
Yeah, okay,
for clarity.
Okay, so please put that on the tweet on Sona 2018. Okay, so, well, it says, I'm glad to be able to report that the economic management team under the stellar leadership of the strong, brilliant economist, Vice President Bawumia, has risen to the challenge, and the hard work is beginning to show positive results. Again, saying that the Vice President is the one who is in the driving seat, making sure the economy is on a certain pedestal. All right, so the question is, that was before Russia-Ukraine? Right?
Yes, definitely. That was before Russia,
okay.
Ukraine. That was also before COVID-19 in 2019 and then the back of 2020. Roland, I think that is important really for us to put the conversations in proper perspective and a proper value chain. I've seen that there is a great attempt from the opposition NDC to paint the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party and the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana in a certain way and manner which is not appropriate. Now, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Bawumia, has been assisting the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, carry out his mandate and vision for the good people of this country. And I think that he's done extremely well compared to all Vice Presidents of this Fourth Republic. And I think that you can attest to that. There is evidence of that from 1992, the various successive Vice Presidents till date, who has been able to ensure that they have worked hard and thought outside of the box to bring innovative ideas to combat the various challenges in the Ghanaian economy. On Wednesday, the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Alhaji Dr. Bawumia, at 4 o'clock at UPSA, would outline policies for the campaign and for the vision that he has when the Ghanaian people give him an opportunity to lead this country. We are in no doubt in our mind as a political party and even with the leader that we have, that he would outline policies on young people, the impact of young people and a greater concern that he has for young people into the future in terms of Generation Z. We are also of no doubt that he would zero in on digitalization as the next stage of global economy. He would zero in on that. He would also look into ensuring that he will share a bit more of his vision on farming, because in the speech that he delivered in November when we won the election, he stated...
He'll share his vision on farming as well.
Yes, he said that, and I quote from page 12, he said, I have my own vision, I have my own priorities. Given the opportunity to lead the people of Ghana, I shall govern with my own man, with the guidance of God and the Almighty. He said, my vision is to build an inclusive, food sufficient, data-driven...
Is it part of the speech you'll be reading?
I'm giving you the
Insights.
speech that he read on the 4th of November when he was declared the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. And I'm certain that he will build a lot more. He will build a lot more on the speech from the November 4th into the Wednesday event and put a lot more flesh into it. He said, my vision is to build an inclusive, food-sufficient, data-driven, and system-based nation that would fully participate in the global digital revolution to solve our problems and also usher in a golden age of benefits from our natural resources. He said that he would want to lead a nation that improves and unleashes the talents of our youth and offers good jobs with good pay and sustainable growth with macroeconomic discipline. I'm certain that come Wednesday, there's going to be a revived energy within the New Patriotic Party. It's going to collapse the NDC's campaign that they have been on all throughout, because we have not seen them share any alternative ideas other than going on a honeymoon when they have an opportunity. But I think that any right-thinking leader who thinks about the future of this country, who positions himself very well to alleviate this country into proper heights and growth and prosperity in that light, will choose none other person than Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to lead the country called Ghana. And I'm in no doubt that on Wednesday,
is the vice president still the head of the EMT, the economic management team?
That has not changed.
Oh.
That has not changed. The vice president, that has not changed. Very much.
And you supervise Ghana's economy for us to do a restructuring of our debt subsequently, and as we went to the IMF.
And you don't want to also state that we had a single-digit inflation from 2017, 2018, and 2019. You also don't want to state that because of the effective management of the economic management team and also the leadership of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo during COVID-19 and during Russia's invasion of Ukraine, this country was stable. We had fuel at our pumps. We had lights on continually. School children were going to school. You haven't stated that. You haven't stated that during COVID-19, when we were paying workers who stayed at home, teachers were paid who stayed at home, frontline workers were paid continually to ensure that the lives of people are preserved in the hospitals. You haven't also stated that out of the extraordinary thinking of the COVID-19, government decided to launch the Agenda 111, which is still ongoing. You haven't stated all these innovative ideas. So really, we need to look at, that's why I said it's important that we look at the value chain. We look at the value chain.
Or management of the EMT led to the complete collapse of the city. And since September 2022,
you remember UK also had challenges with their forex. You remember US as well also had challenges. So it was a global trend. It was a global trend. It was a very, very global trend. And we have bounced back. We've bounced back stronger.
Have we?
We have bounced back stronger. We've turned the corner. We are ensuring that this economy is robust, is strong enough, is able to withstand external shocks and external pressures.
Aduji, so the question then will be, apart from all that paragraph has said, how can we be making statement that we've bounced back when people's returns on their investment are still in abeyance? They have to restructure the payment of those returns on their investment. We're talking about huge bonds, and people have to suffer huge haircuts as a result of investment that at the time they were making were told that were well assured and well into their good groove.
Okay, so you see, leadership is marked by certain character traits. One is honesty. Two, reliability. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia lacks these two essential character traits of a leader. I'll tell you this. If you go on Dr. Bawumia's webpage, Bawumia 2024, biography, family man, then he proceeds, and I'll read this. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. He chairs the economic management team. This is important, which is broadly responsible for shaping government policies and guiding their implementation. Critical. He is saying this about himself. He is at the forefront of a broad, inclusive development strategy in Ghana involving, among other things, the leveraging of digitized government transformation. He is at the forefront. As chair of the economic management team, he is broadly responsible for shaping government policies. What has been the effect of government policies of which Dr. Bawumia had been at the forefront? I think that's a simple question. I mean, as we lawyers, when we go to court, at the end of the day, the judge will tell us what are the triable issues. The only issue before us today, that having led the broad policy issues and its implementation, having been at the forefront, what has been?
Well, Congress' response is
Hold
that
on.
we were doing well on
Please,
COVID
please.
and Russia.
What has been the scorecard? The scorecard is that today, this government or country is bankrupt. It's bankrupt to the extent that we are unable to service our public debts. That is Bawumia's record. When you put every noise, the talkatives, if you put all of them together, their scorecard is that today, this glorious country has lost credibility on the international front. Let me tell you something. Do you know that Bawumia, Ken Ofori-Atta, and Akufo-Addo went to the Eurobond market and told investors that Ghana will be producing 500,000 barrels of crude every day. And so they should buy our bonds.
Well, as a prelude to the roadshow.
Good. The roadshow.
Yeah.
Investors believed this lie and bought our bonds. Dachi bond, Esla bonds, among other things, totaling $13 billion in the space of 6 years. Today, this government is unable to pay. That's credibility. That's reliability. That is honesty. Today, nobody trusts your government. And the one who led the implementation of policies and programs that have brought the economy on its knees says that he needs a platform to show bold solutions for the future. It looks like Bawumia has forgotten that he's still the vice president and chairman of the economic management team. We don't need future solutions.
You are saying that if there's supposed to be a new solution,
It should be now.
so that we save the economy.
You are still the vice president.
But he's a presidential candidate as well.
But you are still the vice president.
Well, that's true. But
And so, if he has any policy programs or whatever, or what he calls bold solutions, this is the time to implement those bold solutions. But you know what? Just December 2023, Ghana's Cocoa Board went to the international market to borrow the usual syndicated loans. For the first time in over 30 years, right? We took cocoa syndicated loans at 8%. Under the leadership of John Dramani Mahama, we were doing Cocoa Board, syndicated loan at sometimes 1.52%. Akufo-Addo, Bawumia have today destroyed the credibility. Do you know why we paid 8%? The banks never believed us. They said we are not credit wealthy. We are a wasteful country. When they give us money, we use it for chop. And so, if we want them to give us money, then we have to pay premium. And so for the first time, we had to pay 8% on the loans, the syndicated loan. How did we get here? How did we end up, experimenting with the destiny of this beautiful country, with this bunch of corrupt, incompetent, wasteful people? How did we get here? And these same people are telling us that we should go ahead with this generational mistake by electing the very person who says that he has been at the forefront of this destruction of our economy. You see, you asked Paul Grave a very important question. How come that today pensioners who decided to live a very good life and save decided to buy government bonds Bawumia, with his boss, Akufo-Addo, took those bonds, used it for consumption, and are unable to pay. That is your scorecard. Corruption, at least the record is there. This is not Eduji. This is not Roland.
Are you
this
referring to the Transparency GI?
Yes. Look, this is the internationally recognized Transparency International, their own scorecard, that consistently for 4 years, Akufo-Addo's best performance as president in the fight against corruption is the worst performance of John Mahama. I mean, that is extremely revealing. We have not forgotten so soon the Cecilia Dapa Gates. We are still reeling under it. And I've always maintained that immediately Cecilia Dapa's issue came, and Mr. Akufo-Addo, you remember that love letter, my dear, and the rest. You remember that letter?
The president's response. Why do you call it a love letter?
I mean, you read it. I mean, official letter. How do you describe a minister, my dear, in an official letter? Please. But you see, what did the president do? He said he had no doubt that Cecilia Dapa will ultimately be vindicated. And today, that's the scorecard. And that is why Akufo-Addo and Bawumia have obtained the dubious distinction as the clearing agent of this republic. And this man says on Wednesday, he's coming to bore the people of Ghana with rhetoric, noise, as to bold solutions. Dr. Bawumia, who, let me say this, has demonstrated a coward spirit.
How do you say that the vice president, who is the head of the economic management team, while in opposition also had been touted as one of the leading economists because he's vice president to save the country's economy? So why do you say
he's a coward?
How?
You see, when your boss takes you on, and your boss says that, I read economics at the University of Ghana, but I branched into law, and have made law my mainstay. But you are trained in economics. So I want you to partner me so that I will use your mind to manage the economy. And so, when the NPP had their last rally in Ayaso by-election, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo on the podium said, he had been ruling this country with the beautiful mind of Dr. Bawumia. Bawumia has never given an indication that he's not responsible for the economy and how it is today. No, so having led for 7 years the management of this economy and this, record, what you do as a gentleman is to man up and say, look, I am responsible for the mess, but this is how I intend working it out. But you cannot hide under the rubrics of digitalization and run away from your core responsibility of managing the economy. That is an act of cowardice. Bawumia is not man enough. And let me make this point clear. All the taxes that have been imposed by the Akufo-Addo administration have been the sole initiative of Dr. Bawumia. It is too late in the day for any attempt to extricate Bawumia from the mess that we are seeing in this economy.
Roland, you see, it's important, really, and I've stated that I've seen that there's a clear agenda from the biggest opposition party to paint the flag bearer of the new patriotic party.
Well, the question I wanted to ask, as you preface this, is it not because of Dr. Bawumia's own utterances, for which, to be truthful, as the economy was on a roller coaster prior to 2019 or 2020, everything was fine. And so this argument wouldn't have been holding today about questioning the credibility and the administrative and transformational prowess of the vice president. Because let me just take you to some few insights into some of his past utterances.
Roland,
and then we'll come
Roland,
play this and then we'll come on.
No, Roland, see,
play them.
You are going into...
Let's listen to him.
Oh, no, please, let me...
Very well.
And therefore, They are hurting the economy. These taxes are hurting, and therefore you are not going to get the growth. And when you don't get the growth, you will not get the revenue. And when you don't get the revenue, you go back to increasing taxes to get the revenue, and then you are in a cyclical downward spiral. And so they have it wrong, and we will change that particular policy. We will use the tax incentives to grow this economy. The mismanagement of this economy in terms of the fundamentals is what was driving the depreciation of the currency. You can't be running double-digit deficits, double-digit current account and fiscal deficits, borrowing to this extent, financing your deficit with huge printing of money from the central bank, and expect your currency to be stable.
And Palgrave,
I'll tell you something.
These are the key benchmarks.
Roland,
right?
I'll tell you something.
Yes, please.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a sterling gentleman in economy. He's the best economist that Ghana would have, that Ghana has had, and the future of Ghana. I see that the media houses and even the NDC has a lot of admiration for the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, and I'm glad. I'm glad, because if we need to put proper economic knowledge and proper economic value system in place, H.E. John Dramani Mahama comes nowhere close. That's the truth. He comes nowhere close to it. So I'm glad that you would want to replay back some of the statements that Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has made.
You're saying they are wrong
and
to play them back?
No, and it is
Are you saying they are wrong to play them back?
It is a clear indication. It's really a clear indication for us as a political party that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the right person to lead this country, to turn the economic prowess of this country, and he has the right brain, the right mindset, the right position, the right character. And if we talk about character, we talk about integrity, and we talk about who to stick to the words. I mean, which other person than Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? And I state this, in the Auditor General's report, as it stated with the COVID-19 funding, a sizable part of that money was used to service H.E. John Dramani Mahame's loans, close to about $21 billion US. $21 billion US. So really, we need to position it very clearly. Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on Wednesday is going to state a clearer position on the policy directives of the campaign, of the future that Ghana so deserves. No amount of words from the NDC, no amount of tagging him with statements that he's made in the past is going to change what the Ghanaian people think of such a noble gentleman of repute, a man who has stood the test of time from 2008 till date, a man who has assisted the president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in implementing his vision. You talk about policies, and you talk about policies, which policies have been implemented to the admiration of the Ghanaian people. The free SHS idea, which came from the president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, which was implemented in the first 100 days, which issued money from the EMT's approval. Has that idea failed? You Start initiative, one district, one factory, the ambulances, the drones, the gold for oil, NHIS, the sizable 16 flagship programs of government, which needs funding, which has been supported immensely, continually under the leadership of Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as the head of the economic management team. You tell me, when H.E. John Dramani Mahama was vice president, tell me which policies he brought out. Name them today. Name them from 1992 till date. Compare all the vice presidents. Name which policy any of the former vice presidents have brought out till date.
When you say policy, what do you mean, please?
What do you understand by policies? A policy is a policy.
Okay.
Policy is a policy directive
like one
of what government...
one factory,
policy is
one village, one town. Is that what you're saying?
Policy is a document and a statement that drives government machinery into ensuring that the country develops from stage A to stage B. That's what policy is. You tell me what policy
there was a
H.E.
40-year
Dramani has
development
brought.
plan for which we had the National Development Planning Commission under his own administration, for which we had a broad policy plan that was spanning 40 years, for which we had intermittent review over time. And subsequently also, if there was no policy, let's say on health, for example, albeit not initialed or named or tagged one district, one factory, or one health administrative facility and then one region, etc. How did we have all the health facilities that were built, the interchanges, etc.? Or because they were not tag-lined, they were not tagged with a certain name, so there's no policy.
Roland,
is that what you're
are
saying?
you aware that the National Development Planning Commission is an office under the office of the president?
I'm very much aware. It's in the Constitution.
Good. They advise the president on policies. And so clearly, whatever that government does is in sync with the National Development Plan, which is headed by Dr. Kojo Mensah Brampa. It's in sync, very clearly. There is not a lot of
So you do agree that there was a policy initiative through the National Development Planning Commission?
I do agree.
So how then do you just oppose to say that there was no policy initiative?
I do agree that the National Development Planning Commission advises the executive on policy directives. However, the executive always brings out the direction within which the country must go. And then the National Development Planning Commission would develop a policy directive out of that. It is through the need-based assessment of what the Ghanaian people need that the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will look at it and say that he wants young people to go to school and bring free SHS. It is a policy directive that the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will look and say that he will bring free TVET. It is a policy directive that the president will look that villages in this country would need drones, would need to be able to ensure that medicine gets to them, would need to ensure that blood gets to them to prevent child mortality.
Okay.
We need to look at the bigger picture and the need that it has met. The ambulances. We need to look at the one district, one factory. The factories that we have put in place. We need to look at the number of young people that have been employed through NEIP and GEA. We need to look at what government is doing to ensure that the life and livelihood of the young people, the life and livelihood of our farmers, the life and livelihood of industry players comes to being.
Pagwe, do I get the understanding that when it comes to policy, and it's not in a way in a slogan, it means that it is not a policy? Is that what you're saying?
Not at all.
So what are you saying?
Because
you're here touting one district, one factory, free SHS.
They are not slogans.
Okay.
Unless, of course, you have not seen it. Roland,
I'm
a journalist.
No, I'm a journalist.
Yes,
you know that. And I've been a journalist for over 20 years. And I'm saying that, and I'm asking you this question. And please be straightforward and precise.
I've always been straightforward and precise.
So
I don't beat around the bush.
So my straightforward question is to you, which says that because a policy has not been sloganeered, does it mean that any initiative that bears fruit of infrastructure, social welfare policy, or social intervention under any administration, apart from your administration, it is not a policy? Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying.
So how did we get development under the past government?
No, but then every single government that has come has had, no, but you've had more time than I have. No, you've had more time. I'm recalculating. My time has been on.
Please answer this.
You've had more time. Look, every government that has come has had an opportunity to visioneer. If you do not remember any vision that has been laid out by the opposition NDC, then it means that their impact was very minimal. Clearly, that is what it is. And you see, policies move from various stages. And I'll tell you, policy moves from a political party policy. You win an election, it becomes a government policy. You implement it well, it becomes a civic responsibility. There are policies of then John Agyekum Kufuor, which is still ongoing. There are policies of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, which would forever be remembered after 2025. And we are in no doubt in our mind that the Ghanaian people on the 7th of December 2024, this year, will make a decisive decision not to bring any other person into the executive arm of government at the Jubilee House on the 4th floor to govern this country from 2025, other than Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
So, Eduji, the clarion call from Palgrave is that you don't have to benchmark Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's comment on how the economy progresses or is managed with the present. I mean, that's the understanding I get. What do you think of it?
You see, we will not allow the NPP to change the narrative.
Meaning what?
We would hold the NPP to the fire of accountability. Look, my friend Paul Graves says that But for COVID, things were going so well. Look, let me just read this. This is City FM Online. 8th September 2018. And I want to submit that as of 2018, there was no COVID. Correct. This is a man who arguably is called the Prime Minister of this country, Mr. Gabi Asare-Tridako. Times are hard, but keep faith with NPP. This is Gabi, 2018. And it goes, a member of the governing New Patriotic Party, Gabi Asare-Tridako, has admitted that Ghanaians are still struggling to make ends meet under the Nanado government, unquote. City FM Online. At the time, there was no COVID. So it is disingenuous for anybody to create the impression that it is COVID that destroyed what was rosy. It's also important, and my friend says that, oh, what is it that the NDC has done? Curious. I want us to go into the NPP 2020 manifesto. We are still on Dr. Bawumia, right? Now, if you go into the NPP 2020 manifesto, page 72, I want to read item 160. And this is what the NPP say. We shall reduce taxes on electricity tariffs to households and industry, unquote. I submit that having made this campaign promise to get the vote of Ghanaians, post-2020, a dishonest government, reckless, corrupt administration decided to increase tariffs cumulatively by over 72%. That is your record. And we are talking about credibility. Look, we were in this country where Dr. Bawumia told us that give the NPP power, and once you give them power, they'll do 1 million per every constituency.
Well, that was said.
Have you noticed that Bawumia these days doesn't talk about that promise again? Because in 4 years, in 7 years, they have never given any constituency $1 million. In fact, I have cause to ask my MP, Adjoa Safo, where is our $7 million? No such thing exists. It had never, and this is a very dishonest government. You go and tell, and Bawumia at the speech giving day at Infantiprim said, when the money stays in Accra, people chop it. And so, the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia administration will be bringing an innovative policy of taking the money to the constituencies.
But that's the intent.
That is what birthed the 1 million. Do you know eventually what they did? Even the ambulances, the procurement was done in the office of Bawumia.
Oh, how do you
How
conclude
can you
so?
say
No,
that?
that's a fact.
You
You don't even know.
What
I'm surprised.
How do you conclude like that?
Yes,
Because it was under the Ministry of Special
they have
Initiatives.
not put the ministry together. And so if you listen,
Did you bring evidence? You're a lawyer of repute. You can't be doing this.
Please.
How can you be saying
I
that?
kept quiet.
How can you be saying
Look,
that?
I deliberately kept quiet to allow you.
Ambulances.
I am saying that the
How do you come-
ambulances were procured, not only the ambulances.
How did you come to that
Even
conclusion?
the one village, one dam procurements were done from the office of the vice president.
How so? How so? Edgy.
No, when you say household, this is a matter of public record. But you see the point.
You
that-
mean refrain?
He's
refrain,
running away
sir.
from it.
No,
Public press the evidence.
What
Show us
evidence
the,
you
yeah,
want?
show us the evidence of the
What?
procurement.
No, when
No,
you-
but Roland, you need to let him show us the evidence
you
of the
have deliberately
procurement.
decided to.
No, I will not.
You
No,
have
but Roland, be
decided to.
I'm
fair.
asking, I
But
have
I
a
want you to
categorical
make
question.
sure
Show us
No,
the
please.
evidence of
What
the
is wrong
procurement.
if the procurement are done from his office?
No, but there's no evidence to that. He needs to step down on that.
I asked a specific question.
Let me-
If it's
let me-
related
let me-
to
let
what
me-
you
let
think
me-
as well,
let
that's
me-
fine.
let me
But allow me
let
to
me
ask a
proceed.
question.
Let
And I
me
asked you,
proceed.
you can't. How did you come to that conclusion to make this emphatic statement? And
You see, Hawa Kumse was then the minister.
yes, please.
So a
You mean
person-
when she was asked about
Yes.
how dams would look like, etc.?
When she said those dams were not meaningful, and that if you needed a meaningful dam,
That
you
the
don't
standardized
use,
dams.
You don't use 250,000 to construct a meaningful dam. Do you know?
These are matters of public record.
Yes, and this man is asking about John Mohammed's vision and what he has done. You see, your idea of Ghana is Accra, and possibly the place you contested for parliamentary election. Ghana is bigger. John Mohammed's transformation and impactful leadership. When you go to a community like Tamne in the Garo district, John Mohammed constructed just a dam, the Tamne irrigation dam. Today, when he visited there a few days ago, the young men of the community said, look, usually in December, they come to Accra. But this time round, by reason solely of the dam, today they are able to do carrot farming, many vegetables, and they can bring it to Accra for additional income. That is impactful, transformative government. What has been the use of this Akufo-Addo-Bawumia administration that had gotten so much tax revenue, but very little to show for? You are talking about homegrown solutions. Even when John Mahama, he had forgotten so soon. In 2013, John Mahama invited Ghanaians to Senchi. At that time, Osafo Mafo decided that he would join the meeting. The NPP told Osafo Mafo not to go for the Senchi meeting. That will come out with homegrown solutions. That is how unpatriotic these people are. But ultimately, solutions came. And those solutions formed the basis of why by 2016 November, the World Bank IMF directors were able to say that by 2017, whichever administration will take over, will see prosperous economic growth. Look, by the time John Mahama was leaving, and you are talking about what initiative, do you know that but for John Mahama's ESLA, by now this government would have collapsed completely. ESLA is what is sustaining you. It had become a major revenue source.
Well, Congress says it's not policy.
You see, sometimes when you hear...
Maybe you should have said one country, one ESLA.
Maybe when you hear these NPP hype men and communicators, you wonder whether policy is all about sloganeering. Policy is about thinking deep. By the time John Mahama left, the rollout of our digital agenda was obvious. Today, when you go just by Parliament House, the National Data Center, whose initiative is it? How can you roll out a digital agenda?
A digitalization
agenda without the benefit of a strong infrastructure. Today, just around Circle, there you have the National Digital Center. Is that how they call it? Where Kofi in
Accra Digital. Accra Digital.
And you see,
just beyond the
you know that project, I have so much connection with it because even before they built it, there was an injunction application to stop, and I had to go to court to oppose it. I remember vividly. Today, that alone had provided a platform for young people to provide IT-based solutions. That is what transformational leadership is. Look, the NPP says, Bawumia should be credited with digitalization. The law that allows even Ghana card to be the sole document for many transactions was passed in 2012. It was not passed by Dr. Bawumia. By the time Dr. Bawumia came, the NDC had already done the factory acceptance test for today what you call the Ghana card. What exactly has been the influence of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia in this conversation?
All right.
So the point ought to be made clear.
How did you wrap up?
That Bawumia, as the chairman of the economic, I think at this point I must say, economic mismanagement team, has not done anything useful for the Ghanaian economy, except to saddle this country with debts, our inability to service our public debt, and more importantly, Roland, do you know that today, as at the time Bawumia took over, Ghana's exchange rate was what? 3.84 cedis. Today, due to the mismanagement of the economy, the cedi is doing 12.3. Okay. How is that a mark of a better
Edudi,
performer.
Edudi,
Oh, please,
Edudi,
hold on.
You're talking like we live in isolation of the world.
All right.
How can
you look at?
Hold on. Let me conclude.
How can you
Let
do
me
that?
conclude.
No, please, you have 60 seconds.
Yes, I remember when the NDC.
When the fundamentals are wrong, is that what you
No,
want to say?
Bawumia said, when in doubt, observe the exchange rate. And for him, as an economist, the exchange rate mirrors
Was a benchmark?
was the benchmark.
Okay.
And at the time he made that statement, the CD was trading for 3.8. Today, due to your mismanagement,
Your time is up, Eddie.
your incompetence, the CD is now doing 12.3%. And you say we should sing hallelujah for you.
Right.
Are you serious?
Dr. Bawumia will be at the main auditorium, the UPSA, Accra, to deliver that illustrious lecture. And he hasn't had that grandiose of a lecture in a while, albeit not since he came into government, I mean broadly.
It's not a lecture.
What is it?
In lectures, you ask your lecturer a question. Have you seen Bawumia
Okay,
take questions
so
before?
let me take some views and then I'll give them one more minute before we
Yes.
wrap up. This one is from PHK. It says, the NPP led by Dr. Bawumia must admit that they have failed Ghanaians woefully. And the fact is, most of the NPP members are aware that this election, 2024, they will lose, but they are just pretending. The future is pregnant, PHK says. Zach is giving us this message in the name of Master Planner Junior Kintampo. Is it a reply of Eduji's 2023 submissions you're replaying, or it is a live discussion? Please, it's a live discussion, Zach. He's only repeating what he said somewhere last year. It is clear that Eduji and his NDC have nothing new to bring on board. It will be disastrous, catastrophic, and erroneous to vote NDC back to power. Dr. Bawumia Beba, inshallah, Master Planner Junior Kintampo. I have this one from Landlord Borgadi line, and says, for Ghana, the Kukwanansi story politics is too much. Dr. Bawumia supervised a regime of being head of the economic management team where he moved Ghana from taxation to more taxation, instead of what he preached from taxation to production. And then Chris from Adenta, Chris Aiden, good morning to you, says, read my message. He even gave me a screenshot. You are allowing Palgrave to get us annoyed by his deviation, Chris Aiden, from the questions you ask him. I'm a strong NPP member. He's just a dishonest man as his leader. He's wasting our airtime. We, the groundsmen in NPP, are really angry. They should speak truth to power. I will add your last one. Now, Kofi Sika says, Roland, did I hear you mention that Dr. Bawumia is going to talk about his vision? Really? What vision again? He should tell us why he failed to solve his own 170 questions. They are coming back to bite him. Now, Kizito, Tema East constituency, is Palgrave lecturing or rhyming? Governance is not about rhetoric, so because we didn't have a policy that has slogans, it means that slogans in the absence of a policy are not policies. Is that what he's telling us? Osei Boateng from Asmasi says, please allow Palgrave to talk. He has to defend what Dr. Bawumia has achieved as a head of the management of Ghana's economic management team. And Dr. Bawumia has also worked. Inshallah, God will be faithful to him. Now, PK from Elembele says, hi, Roland. Records in politics show that prior to 2008, the then NPP increased prices of fuel at most high cost of living, and Ghanaians complained bitterly. In his quest to be president of Ghana, whose record and legacies would Dr. Bawumia be campaigning on? Which new ideas is he going to have? A government that cancelled a levy and now is imposing emission levy. If he has new ideas, he uses it to change the economy today. Maxwell Akpabli says, these NPP guys are very bold to even be telling us still to consider Dr. Bawumia. Maxwell Akpabli giving us this message. And we have a couple more as well. And then Kwesi Mensah says, Roland, I'm watching you from the United States of America. This is Dr. Bawumia. I have attached his video of promising the people of Cape Coast of an airport and a harbor. If you pose that question right now to Palgrave, you'll be running away. Where are the harbors and the airports as promised? All these are from Dr. Bawumia. And then Marcus says, these guys think all Ghanaians are fools. If there was no policy, we're from F-Cube. I doubt if that guy even knows what about F-Cube. Well, he knows about F-Cube. I think that. Which policies then birthed the gas processing plant, Terminal 3? Roads that were built and interchanges. Get Fund was not a policy. ESLA was not a policy. Ghana Infrastructure Investment Bank was not a policy. Ghana Exim Bank was not a policy. And then we have Eric from Ashalibotre saying, when a deity becomes impotent, worshippers turn their back. Palgrave and his colleagues know that as well. And we have this one also coming from Kwesi Nkansa, who is giving us this message from Inshaeso in Kumasi. Just come to the Ashanti region. The NPP is sitting on tenterhooks. I'm a strong NPP person. I have to admit, policies like free SHS are very good. But when you promise and all policies don't go according to their implementation, you have to admit. I will always vote for the NPP though. Well, so now Sampiyale says, loving government or unplanned government, drone service at what cost? All right. So we have a couple. Okay, so let me give you one.
I think a quick one.
No, let me.
Oh no, you can let him start. It's fine.
You see, Palgrave makes the point.
A minute, 60 seconds.
Yes, Palgrave makes the point that COVID funds were used to settle John Mohammed's debts. I mean, this barefaced lies. The Auditor General's report is there. Ken Oforiatta, when he met the Auditor General, indicated to him that the funds were used for budgetary support. Nowhere in the Auditor General's report did he say. So that's just for the record. But even more important, you see, Bawumia remains the problem of this country.
How so?
And for the generational mistake of voting for him and the boss, 2016, this country will not have deteriorated to this level. The hardship is unprecedented. The taxes on this country or Ghanaian citizen is unprecedented. And let me make this point. This whole attempt of government dropping the 15%, what about what is now called the Ewusie tax, the smoke tax? What about that? What about the recent taxes on textbooks? What about the taxes on sanitary pads?
It's been removed.
No,
no. The taxes,
don't
there are no taxes on sanitary pads.
Don't confuse
anybody. There are
anybody.
no taxes on sanitary
don't
pads.
Confuse anybody.
It's been removed.
Oh, please.
It's true. Locally produced sanitary pads.
Good. But you know that the local production is not able to meet the demand. So the bulk of it is imported.
They don't source their supplies.
Exactly.
Let me.
You
said 60 seconds.
No, just 30 seconds on this. No, he's the moderator.
No, but you said 60 seconds.
You know that this government had budgeted to spend 226 billion. They have a tax revenue projection of 176 billion.
His time is up.
We need to borrow 50 billion to balance the budget.
Yes.
And that is where the problem is. They don't have the money.
He's done 5 minutes, but it's not a problem.
They don't have the money.
I'll tell you something. Look,
I don't have 5 minutes.
Why? Are you taught exaggeration?
No, please. Let him make his point.
I'll tell you something.
Are you taught exaggeration?
Alhaji Dr. Bawumia is the best candidate for this country. He's promised us a year of possibility, a future of possibilities. I do not think the Ghanaian people will make a mistake to bring H.E. John Dramani Mahama for 4 years to do what? Is the question. What policy has he brought out in all of his campaigning?
You said
what has he promised?
8 years, you've not done
anything. And so
you need 4 years.
And so really, Alhaji Dr. Bawumia is the game changer for the future of this country. He's the man of integrity, a person of character, an astute economist. When we talk about economy, it's the new patriotic party that understands the economy of this country.
So it's not the understanding that has brought us here.
It is the new patriotic party that has the future of this country at heart.
All right.
Not the NDC.
All right.
And
Thank
so
you very
really,
much, gentlemen.
And so really on Wednesday, the Ghanaian people are not just going to see a lecture, but they're also going to see the new vision, the drive, and the future that we want to put this country on.
For the first time, will Bawumia
All right.
take questions
Okay.
from
So
people?
that'll be it for now. We encourage you. We have cash out. It's the birthday of a great viewer right here. We're talking about wisdom. Lechu, it's your birthday as well. Your daughter is also celebrating her birthday. And please make sure you give me your daughter's name as well. And Mr. Wheezy, have a great one. And Money Need Money. Let me read this one from Money Need Money. Money Need Money is a great watcher of the show. Anthony Nupenu says, hey, so you don't see my message. Power Grace, watch it down. This is how you enter the parliamentary. Oh, please. Watch it. I'm thinking you will back. No. Okay. A bold vision statement to be made from a lame duck flag bearer is a question that Anthony Nupenu is asking. Let me just read this last one from Money Need Money, and then we'll move on to the next. Now, Money Need Money has this message for us. He says, he's asking, they intentionally introduced the VAT on electricity, knowing perfectly well people will reject it, and they turn around to say they will cancel it. So the end goal is to say they are a listening government. This one, Aje Agove, you say. Well, now we're at 4 now. We encourage you, make sure you cash out, *439#. It goes with the short code. We'll bring you the latest sports headlines. We'll also take you to the United States of America in Los Angeles, California, where we had the Grammy Awards taking place. Tyler, of course, for the African category, won that category with a song which has extreme or more views. We're talking in excess 180 views on YouTube with the title Water. We're here, right here.